Thank you, sir. How's everybody doing? I just want, as far as we're talking about tumblers and stuff, I want everyone to appreciate this tumbler right here. Would you hold that up for me real quick? I just want everyone to see it says ma, mama, mom, bruh. Why does it take until bruh to get a response? That is an important question. Um, if you just answered ma, then, anyway, we're not going to get into this conversation right now. But you're awesome. Great job. Thank you so much for sharing what you do in your heart. My name is Nick. I am so glad to be here. I'm so excited to be part of this room and to be welcomed into this community. It's an absolute honor, and I've gained a lot out of being in this room, and I thank you guys so much for being here. Just understanding what you do for our local business community, which means what we're doing for the world, I think is creating an amazing environment where we can grow and thrive. So cool. Kudos to you. Give yourselves a round of applause. I'm just saying. Throw that out there. I got golf claps from some. It's okay. We'll work on that. But my name is Nick, and I own New Light Consultants. And a little bit of background on me and how we got here. My wife and I are from New York, and don't throw anything. And we have lived here for just over a year. But for the last 15 years, I've been specializing in sales and operations for companies all over the country, helping a number of different startups and small companies become million-dollar and multi-million-dollar companies just by the process of overhauling their sales and operations frameworks. So after 15 years of doing that for other companies, whether they were small startups or they were large international web titans, I found that I really enjoyed the idea of sitting down eyeball to eyeball with a business owner, with an entrepreneur, and helping them to strategize what it looks like to actually build the business that they envisioned when they started. So where this all kind of came from is I realized, I have a talent for doing these kinds of things, training in sales, operations, leadership, networking, all those kind of fun things. But how does one package that? So I ran through every possible system that I could get my hands on. I wanted to figure out what it looked like to look through companies, and there's a million books out there, right, on business systems and all different things that you could track and that you could use. And ultimately, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't franchising myself. I didn't want to get involved with a franchise. I wanted a product or a system or a framework that I could utilize, that I could license, and that I could use to teach or to use legally without having the constraints of being within a franchise. Does that make sense? So that was kind of my goal. God bless you. More than twice, you're just begging for blessings. I'm just saying. But so in the process of trying to find the right system, and I dug through dozens and dozens of them, I came across a book called How to Grow Your Small Business. It's by an amazing author named Donald Miller, and he breaks down the concept of growing a business into a very interesting analogy, and I'm addicted to analogies. So without belaboring the point, what I would love to do is just kind of dive into the reason why I went into business for myself and why this is important. Because I believe, and I think we've seen in reality, that nobody starts a business because they want to run a business. They start a business because they want to solve a problem, because they want to serve their community, because they want to have an impact, right? Anybody ever heard somebody say, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because I just like to help people? It's amazing how you could help people in every industry, right? So we go into whatever industry we go into because we have a skill in it, right? So the reason that growing a small business is hard is these very things that we've all experienced, right? Whether it's you're not sure where your profitable revenue is coming from, or your marketing is confusing and people are passing you by. Maybe you don't like to sell and you struggle to close deals, or your operations border on organized chaos. These two are probably the biggest problems that I run into with a lot of my clients. Spending thousands on outside consultants, but it doesn't work. Key important thing to keep in mind is whether or not you're actually getting measurable ROI. And then you create products that are in demand but are secretly not profitable. Many of us have fallen into that one. Or you live in fear that you're going to run out of money. So how do we solve that? If we are going to grow our business, we need to professionalize our business. The guy who wrote that book, Donald Miller, he at the time ran a couple of $1 million company, and he was talking to a mentor of his who ran a number of billion-dollar companies. And the guy said to him, what's your goal? What do you think this business is really going to do? And he said, I think we can do $100 million. And his mentor looked him dead in the face and said, it's not going to happen. He said, why? And he said, well, you can't grow your business unless you, quote, professionalize your operation. And that's something that a lot of us have not figured out how to do quite yet, right? A lot of our businesses operate like the junk drawer in that they came together out of necessity and while we were using it. You know what I mean? So I believe that a business works like an airplane, and I'll try to drill through this concept really, really quickly. An airplane has to have 6 key components in order to function properly. It needs a cockpit so you know where you're going. It needs to have 2 engines that are operating effectively and in unison so that you don't spin out. It needs to have those attached to wings that are broad enough to get you lift, but light enough to not take the airplane down. All that needs to be attached to the body of the airplane, which carries all your people. And all of that can be beautifully well designed and look really pretty on an Instagram post, but if you don't have enough fuel in it, it's going down. So the whole concept that I bought into is this concept that this is the airplane. This is the way that your business operates. Your leadership is where you're headed. It's your guiding principles of your company, how you communicate that to your people. Your right and left engines are marketing and sales. They need to work together effectively, and you need to make sure that you not only in marketing have clarified your message, but then in sales you have the ability to communicate it in a way that's conversational. Those are attached to the wings of your aircraft, which is your product or your service. Those need to be streamlined. You need to make sure they're in demand and they're profitable. And at the end of the day, you need to have a system in place to audit those things and figure that out. Also, a lot of us know the fastest way to grow our business is by developing a new product or service. So you have to have a way to audit that before you just invest a whole bunch of time and money into something that doesn't turn out profitable. All that is attached to the body of the airplane, which is where your people are. That's where all your labor sits. Your most expensive part of running your business usually is your payroll. And then again, if all that is really well designed, but you don't manage your cash flow well, then your airplane's going down. All right? So I hope that makes sense. That's why I went into business, and that's a little bit of a general concept of what I do, but I'd love to take some questions and see what you guys think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Give it up for Nick.